All right, so get ready, because today we're diving deep into a legendary showdown, one for the ages. We're talking Archangel Michael versus Thor.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, and this isn't like, your typical good versus evil superhero movie clash.
Right.
This goes way deeper. It gets you thinking about, like, destiny, free will. What does it even mean to be powerful?
Exact.
And the source material that we're diving into today is this really intriguing piece called Archangel Michael versus Thor. Battle of gods you never knew existed.
And what makes this story so cool is that it doesn't start with like this clear-cut, like good guy, bad guy kind of thing.
Yeah.
It throws you right into this clash, and you realize pretty quickly that both Michael and Thor, they're kind of caught in this like cosmic wet,
It's like they're both being played a little bit, almost like pawns in a bigger game. And that feeling of being pulled in opposite directions.
Right.
Like you want to do what's right, but what is right? It's like the universe itself is making you choose, but it's an impossible choice.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this story.
Yeah, it really gets you in that headspace of what would you do?
Totally. And right away, you get these two monumental figures.
Yeah.
Each driven by this, like, intense sense of purpose. So you got Michael, right? The classic angelic warrior. This being of pure divine will.
The epitome of righteousness and order.
Exactly. Everything you'd expect, righteous, disciplined, totally dedicated to upholding, the creator's order. But here's the thing.
But there's always a but.
Right. What happens when that unwavering order bumps up against a different kind of right? A different way of doing things?
Because there are many paths, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you've got Thor.
Yeah.
God of thunder, right? This force of nature just bursting with power. But it's not just brute force. He's also on this quest to prove himself.
Yeah, to be worthy.
To be worthy. And that adds another layer, I think.
Absolutely. Because he's not just powerful, he wants to be worthy of that power.
Exactly. And this is where the story's imagery becomes super interesting. Because you have Michael, right, with his flaming sword, that classic symbol of righteousness, you can almost feel the heat,
It's like that unwavering, burning faith.
Yes.
That pure, almost blinding faith.
Yes. And then you have Thor wielding Mjolnir, his hammer, crackling with lightning.
Right, which is interesting because it's destructive, but it's also, like, it's elemental, right? There's creation in that, too.
Right. It's not just this brute force. There's this sense of, like, raw, natural energy. And it makes you wonder, like, can you really have pure order without a little chaos?
And that's the core of this conflict. It's this clash of ideals. Faith versus instinct, order versus freedom. Like, are you fulfilling your destiny or are you forging your own path?
It's huge, right? And it's all there in this battle.
Exactly.
And this is where things get really, really interesting. You've got this clash of ideals, but then it spills over, into this epic physical fight.
Right. And it's not just like a scuffle in an alley. It's cosmic. The source material describes like shock waves that ripple across realms.
I love that. It's like every blow from Michael's flaming sword, it's like echoing with this divine law. And then you got Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, just like erupting with raw, untamed, like thunderstorm energy.
Right. Yeah. It makes you really feel the power behind these figures. Like, you're not just reading it, you're almost experiencing it.
Totally, totally. And in the middle of all this, right, you have Michael, this angel, who is all about unwavering faith. And he starts to question everything.
Really makes you think.
It does. He sees Thor not just as some enemy, but as this protector, a leader, who is doing what he believes is right. And I think for Michael, it's this realization that, like, maybe things aren't so black and white.
Right. Because up until now, it's been all about following the divine order. But what happens when that order leads you to fight someone who's not necessarily evil?
Yeah, exactly. And it makes you wonder, can there be more than one right answer? More than one path to righteousness? I mean, talk about a crisis of faith.
Right. And it makes Michael such a compelling character, this struggle, this willingness to question. It makes him human, even though he's this, like, celestial being.
Totally, 100%. And then on the other side, you have Thor, this god who's used to battling monsters, giants, whatever, and suddenly he's facing something totally different.
It's like a whole different kind of challenge.
It is. It's like he's fighting for his people, but he's also fighting this feeling, this nagging feeling of, like, is this really my fight? Am I just a pawn in some bigger game I don't understand?
Right, and that's a feeling I think a lot of people can relate to. Like, are we really in control of our lives? Or are we just going through the motions?
Totally. And it really highlights that central theme of destiny versus free will. Here's Thor, God of thunder, but even he's wrestling with those questions. So we've got these two incredibly powerful figures, right? Locked in this epic showdown. both push to their limits. But who comes out on top? And that's the thing about this story. It doesn't really give you a clear winner.
And that's what makes it so interesting, right?
Totally.
Because you go into it expecting this, like, big knockout, like someone's going to lose, someone's going to win. But it's more about the journey.
It really is. Like, it subverts your expectations.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize, true strength, it's not always about winning or losing. It's about something more.
Right. It's about, like, challenging what you thought you knew.
It is about growth. And we see that with both Michael and Thor. There's this turning point, right? Michael's in the middle of the fight, and he hesitates.
Which for him is huge.
Right. This is an angel who's all about, like, absolute faith, divine will. And yet he doubts. He sees Thor's dedication to his people, and it makes him think twice. It makes you wonder, like, can there be different forms of righteousness?
It's like in that moment, Michael realizes he might not have all the answers.
Yeah. Like, even angels, even those closest to the Creator, they question, they wonder.
Yeah, and maybe that's part of what makes them worthy.
It's huge. It is. It's like this really personal message, too, We've all had those moments of doubt where you think, like, am I on the right path? Should I be questioning things? It's a struggle.
It really is. And on the other side of all that, you have Thor, this god who's used to facing these huge external threats. But this fight, it forces him to look inward.
It's a whole different battle, right?
It is. It's like, it's not just about wielding this immense power. It's about, like, knowing when to use it, when to hold back.
When to choose a different way.
Exactly. And that's such a powerful message.
It is. It really makes you think, like, can any of us really say we're in control of our own destiny?
Yeah.
Or are we all just, reacting to forces we can't even comprehend?
It's a huge question. And I love how the story, it doesn't try to answer it for you.
It doesn't. And that's the beauty of it. It makes you wrestle with these ideas of duty, choice, the true meaning of strength.
Exactly. It pushes you to confront those moments of doubt, those internal struggles, and to see them not as weaknesses, but like chances to grow.
Opportunities, yeah. And, in the end, it's this really powerful reminder. Even God's angels, they go through these things. They question, they struggle. And if they can find their way through that, maybe, just maybe, so can we.
Absolutely. It's a story that stays with you, makes you think about those internal battles and how facing them, that might be the most transformative journey of all.
Couldn't have said it better myself.